for 9 from beyond the arc for only 17 points, but made up for it on the defensive end when it mattered. Up 1 with 3 seconds left. Harden blocked the three-point attempt by Lou Dort. And after Houston made 1 of 2 free throws, OKC had a second left to inbound, but couldn't complete a pass to get a shot off in time. It was a crazy, crazy ending to that one. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us now. Chris, did the Rockets win this game or did the Thunder lose it?
Look, I'm fully aware that James Harden had yet another offensive clunker in a critical playoff game. And I got to be honest, he looked like he didn't want the 3 ball at all. The only time he looked like himself to me was after that block when he yelled into the crowd or whoever there was there into the stands. You know, that's the only time I saw that typical James Harden confidence and swag. But all that said, I'm still going to give the Rockets credit. And to me, they won the game. OKC didn't lose it. The shocker is that they won it with their defense. At the end of the game, they took OKC out of everything it wanted to do. And remember, OKC was they were the best clutch team in the regular season down the stretch of games, and they couldn't run anything. That last play, I mean, first of all, they're lucky that Chris Paul's pass on the right wing didn't get stolen. Then they're scrambling. They get the ball to Lou Dort. I know he had a great game, but you know that was not the guy they wanted taking the last shot. And then on the inbounds, after a timeout, you get to draw up a play, and they can't inbound the ball. I have to credit Houston's defense. They forced him to give it to Steven Adams at the three-point line at the end of the game. Obviously, Harden came up. I give him credit. He didn't get down on himself. He didn't hang his head because he didn't have it going offensively. Great block by him. I credit the Houston Rockets for stellar. Never thought I'd say that team, but stellar defense.
Skip, Skip. Chris, I'll give you credit. The Rockets did play excellent defense. But what happened on that shot that Chris Paul missed in the lane at 6 feet? Was that great defense? What about those 2 blown layups?
It was scramble mode. You got to hit that.
What about those 2 layups that Schroeder missed? Point blank range, just 2 layups, just flat out missed them.
Little contest.
I just think the thing is that in a situation like that, and I agree with you, I don't really like to take away from a team when they win, but if you beat me and I'm executing, I can live with that. And this is what OKC normally does in this situation. They normally execute down the stretch. And when you go 1 for 9 with 4 turnovers, and I'm trying to figure out, you mean to tell me Chris Paul is only going to shoot the ball 1 time in the final 8 minutes? After he starts with a hot hand in the 4th quarter, he gets 1 shot? Nah, I can't. Look, the Rockets were unbelievable. James Harden is bought in so well defensively because he's their best player. And your best player buys in, everybody else has no choice. We know P.J. Tucker is a defensive guy. We know Robert Covington. 2 years ago, he was first-team All-NBA. We get that. But you can't win with just 2 guys playing defense and everybody else lollygagging. And you definitely can't win. With the way James Harden played, say, his first 4 or 5 years in Houston, man, they lost by 20 points because he didn't even care about defense. Now he's trying to block shots. He's contesting. He's boxing out. And the biggest thing I noticed, ever since Giannis slighted James Harden in the All-Star game, when he said he wanted to take somebody to play defense, and he's like, I want to, and when they lost the game, they said we was going at James Harden. James Harden has been a different guy on the defensive end. We know he can score, but he's turned it around on the defensive side. No, he's not sitting in the chair. But as far as stealing the ball and getting deflections, but for me, I still believe the Thunder lost this one because they were uncharacteristically bad over the last 5 where they've been historic over the last 5 minutes. They've been really great this year. So I'm gonna say the Thunder lost it as opposed to the Rockets more so winning it.
Chris Broussard, I have been trying to alert and convince my partner across the table for the last 2 months. Something is going on in Houston. In all my years of covering the NBA, back to the days I covered the Lakers for the LA Times in the 1970s, pre-Magic, Kareem was there. I have never seen a superstar transformation like I've seen over the last 2 or 3 months that they played basketball from James Harden. He has gone from, if I don't have it on offense, I will play hellacious hard defense. I will be the driving force of our defense. All of a sudden, this team that used to rest on defense, the team, you know, the word dog now in the NBA has connotations to the word dog. You know, there's you play like a dog on defense, meaning you're going to fight and scratch and claw. You're going to be a tough guy. There's also you played like a dog, as in you played half-heartedly, you quit, you were lackluster, you didn't care. Well, that used to be James on defense. I love watching the Rockets play defense because they're so small. What's Covington, 6'7", maybe?
Yeah, he's the tallest guy, probably 6'7".
Okay, so you go 6'7" and below. And last night, a lot of times, James Harden wound up covering Steven Adams. He did. He took him a lot. 6'5" on 7 feet. And he played his tail off trying to keep Steven Adams away from the basket. He fronted him. He backed him. He fought him, scratched, clawed. They all play like dogs in a great way on defense. And I'm talking, Russ will play hard on defense. And all of a sudden, their identity is switched to defense. They are leading the playoffs in turnovers forced. That was an ugly game last night in the fourth quarter. And again, Chris Paul leading the NBA in clutch points. He was just having a hard time finding a shot. And when he finally did, in scramble mode, as you point out, Chris, find that little 7-foot little fall-away jumper in the lane, it seemed to startle him like, oh, wait a second, I'm finally open. And he short-armed it, and he left it on the front of the rim, and that was for the lead in the game, and it was huge. And I want to point out one last quick time. The shot of the night for the Houston Rockets was by P.J. Tucker, who's nothing but a corner three shooter, who got run off, we could see it run off the three-point line. And he went up and under Steven Adams. Here we go. James kicks it to the corner. That's a shot. Nope, there's Steven Adams. And he shoots a running 12-foot jump shot. It's not in his repertoire. And he swished it, and that became the winning shot of the game with 1:25 left. And then if we could go to the last play on Dort, obviously it had been the Lou Dort game. He had made 6 three-point shots and had the hottest hand on the court, and nobody guards James better. I've never seen anybody shut down James Harden like Lou Dort can, because as Shannon and I spoke earlier, he's like a strong safety playing defense, 6'3", 220. James can't get an inch on him, can't get by him left or right, and he's all over him when he tries to step back, pull up. There's no shot. And yet, on the last play, the crucial play of the game, James Harden is guarding, if you can see, Steven Adams. And at the last second, he says, okay, I'm guarding him, but I got a bolt. And he runs all the way out and takes a flying leap at Lou Dort, the hottest hand on the court. And I thought, oh, he's going to make his 7-3 and they're going to win the game. And James goes sideways with his off arm, because he's left-handed, and makes a sweet, clean block with no body foul of Lou Dort. And only James Harden would know how you foul three-point shooters, because he gets fouled more than anybody shooting threes, to avoid. And he avoided, and it was the play of the game on defense by James Harden. Congratulations, new identity. Here come the Lakers. They are going to cause your team some problems.
But, Chris, what about the inbound play? You call a timeout. You call 2 timeouts. And the best play you get is a 7-footer going away from the basket. Now, remember, P.J. Tucker is fronting Steven Adams at 7 foot tall. Just lob the ball over the top of P.J. Tucker.
Look, I'm with you. Your last resort, because obviously the last resort was Adams just run to the ball and get it at the 3. The last resort should be Adams dive into the basket and just throwing it at the rim. If you can't get it to Chris Paul or whoever you want to go to on the perimeter, have it going into the game that a key was Chris Paul's offensive aggressiveness. And I think he's had this problem in the past, even in the playoffs, in that when he looks for his shot and scores 20-something points, they tend to do. He's a true point guard, and when he's getting everybody involved, and obviously he always is getting guys involved, but he took, 11 shots? I need more from Chris. I needed more from that. So it was some poor execution, but I do give the Rockets defense credit. And Skip, you said it was kind of over the last 2-3 months of the season. That's when they went small, and then Russell Westbrook, I thought they went from being, Harden and then Westbrook, a definitive number 2, to kind of a 1A and 1B on offense. And that took some of the load off of Harden so he could, focus a little bit more on defense because you didn't have as much of the offensive load. But I'm a bit concerned at the way he just didn't look like himself offensively. Dort is good, and he did a good job on him. But James, I've never seen him get rid of the ball so quickly at times. Like, it looked like he didn't want that three-point shot. I give him credit for driving to the basket, scoring a few layups.
He did.
And even kicking it out on the play you showed to PJ. you know, we've seen this a lot from Harden. Not all the time, but he's disappeared a few times. That's concerning.
Hey, Dort has his number. And remember, they play in the offseason against each other in pickup games at Arizona State because they're both went to school there for a year. And yet, in the end, remember, James is having, as he said, he used that word on national TV to describe his, you know, the SH word to describe his night. Well, look at Russell Westbrook in the fourth quarter. He goes 1 for 8. Would he have not been on the hot seat if they lost?
Yeah, but even though he'd have been on the hot seat, but not like James, because the best player will always take the lion's share of the criticism if you were to lose. Skip, when you go back and look at it, you look at the Miami Heat, they lost, but D-Wade and Chris Bosh doesn't get the criticism that LeBron gets. Anytime you lose, the best player is always going to take the lion's share of the criticism because you're going to get the lion's share of the credit when you win. But I'm looking at Chris Paul last night. He only took 4 shots. He made 3, and he hit those early in the ball game. So
in the fourth quarter.
Skipping, so I'm like, ooh, Chris got it going now. He had 10 points. Chris should have shot.
Hey, Shannon, to Chris Broussard's point, he's notorious for not Doc used to scream at him, shoot it.
You got to. Especially he got it going. Normally, I get it. You know, sometimes you see Paul George like, man, I just can't keep shooting because I'm not making it. And Chris Paul had it going. He only took 4 shots. He made 3, 2 bomb threes. And I'm like, okay, Chris, go ahead and do this thing. Now go on and bring it home. And then all of a sudden, he didn't take but another shot in the last 8 minutes. That can't happen.
You were just afraid of for LeBron and company. This will not be a cakewalk.
Harden, Garden, Lakers in 5. You know, it don't matter.
I hope I'm wrong because I really want to see a great series. And I think the games will be exciting and good, but I'm with Shannon. Lakers in 5.
7.
5.
Whew.
7.
I hope you're right. I hope you're exciting, but 5.
Anthony Davis about to look like Wilt Chamberlain. I see 40 and 15.
All right, we're going to have plenty of time to deep dive into that series, but I want Chris to stick around because I want to get your thoughts on Steve Nash as the new man in charge.